Chapter 1. The Creation of the World. In the beginning there was nothing but chaos, a formless, empty void shrouded in darkness. Yet, even in this chaos, the Spirit of God was present, hovering over the waters, ready to bring order and beauty into existence. God said, "Let there be light," and with those words, light burst forth, piercing the darkness. God saw that the light was good, and he separated it from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. This was the first day, the beginning of time itself. On the second day, God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." And so God created the sky, a vast expanse that divided the waters above from the waters below. The sky stretched endlessly, a canvas of blue that would one day hold the sun, moon, and stars. On the third day, God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." The waters receded, revealing land mountains, valleys, and plains. God called the dry ground land and the gathered waters seas. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees." The earth responded with lush greenery, trees heavy with fruit, and fields of grass swaying in the wind. God saw that it was good. On the fourth day, God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night." He created the sun to rule the day and the moon to govern the night. He also made the stars, countless points of light that would guide travelers and mark the seasons. God saw that it was good. On the fifth day, God said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth." The seas came alive with fish of every kind, great whales, shimmering schools of fish, and creatures of the deep. The skies filled with birds, their wings catching the light as they soared. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and increase in number." On the sixth day, God said, "Let the land produce living creatures, livestock, wild animals, and creatures that move along the ground." The earth brought forth animals of every kind, majestic lions, gentle deer, and crawling insects. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so they may rule over all the earth." So God created Adam and Eve, shaping them with care and breathing life into them. He blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and every living creature that moves on the ground." God looked at all he had made, and it was very good. On the seventh day, God rested from his work, blessing the day and making it holy. Chapter 3. The Fall of Man. Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden, a paradise filled with every kind of tree that was pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God had commanded Adam, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." One day, the serpent, the craftiest of all the creatures God had made, approached Eve. "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" he asked. Eve replied, "We may eat from the trees, but not from the tree in the middle of the garden." God said, "You must not eat from it or touch it, or you will die." The serpent said, "You will not die. God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Eve looked at the tree and saw that its fruit was good for food, pleasing to the eye and desirable for gaining wisdom. She took some and ate it. She also gave some to Adam, who was with her, and he ate it. At once their eyes were opened and they realized they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. When they heard the sound of God walking in the garden, they hid among the trees. God called out, "Where are you?" Adam replied, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, so I hid." God said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" Adam said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it." God said to Eve, "What is this you have done?" Eve replied, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." God pronounced curses on the serpent, Adam and Eve. To the serpent, he said, "You will crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." To Eve he said, "I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." To Adam he said, "Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat food from it all the days of your life. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food, until you return to the ground. For dust you are, and to dust you will return." God made garments of skin for Adam and Eve and clothed them. Then he said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." So God banished them from the Garden of Eden and placed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. Chapter 6 to 9, Noah's Ark. As humanity multiplied on the earth, so did their wickedness. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become, and his heart was deeply troubled. Every inclination of the human heart was only evil all the time. God said, "I will wipe mankind from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. God said to Noah, "I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it, leaving an 18-inch opening below the roof all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it, everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. For 120 years Noah worked on the ark, enduring ridicule and disbelief from his neighbors. But Noah remained faithful, trusting in God's promise. When the ark was complete, God said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made." Noah obeyed, and the animals came to him 2 by 2, male and female, as God had commanded. Then the Lord shut them in. For 40 days the flood waters came on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 20 feet. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out: people, animals, birds, and creatures that move along the ground. Only Noah and those with him in the ark were left. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. Then God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, which kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded, but the dove could find no place to perch and returned to the ark. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove out again, and this time it returned with an olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew the water had receded. When the earth was dry, God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." Noah built an altar to the Lord and sacrificed some of the clean animals and birds as burnt offerings. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures, as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." God blessed Noah and his sons, saying, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, all those that came out of the ark with you, every living creature on earth. I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." As a sign of this covenant, God set a rainbow in the clouds, saying, "Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life." Chapter 22. The Binding of Isaac. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," Abraham replied. God said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham's heart must have shattered at these words. Isaac was the child of promise, the son he and Sarah had waited for so many years. He was the one through whom God had promised to make Abraham's descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. Yet Abraham did not hesitate. Early the next morning, he saddled his donkey, took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac, and set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac. He himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them walked together, Isaac spoke up. "Father," he said. "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said. "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them walked on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," the angel said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." The angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me. Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Chapter 37. Joseph's Dreams. Joseph was the favorite son of Jacob, born to him in his old age through Rachel, the wife he loved most. Jacob made Joseph a richly ornamented robe, a symbol of his favoritism. This did not sit well with Joseph's brothers, who already resented him for tattling on them. One day Joseph had a dream. He said to his brothers, Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain in the field, and suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. His brothers were furious. Do you intend to reign over us? They asked. Will you actually rule us? Their hatred for Joseph grew. Joseph had another dream and told it to his brothers. This time, he said, the sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me. When he told his father, Jacob rebuked him. What is this dream you had? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? But one day Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were tending the flocks near Shechem. When Joseph arrived, his brothers saw him from a distance and plotted to kill him. Here comes that dreamer, they said. Let's kill him and throw him into one of these pits. We can say a wild animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. But Reuben, the eldest, intervened. Let's not take his life, he said. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben planned to rescue Joseph later. When Joseph arrived, his brothers stripped him of his ornate robe and threw him into the empty pit. As they sat down to eat, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, their camels loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh. Judah said, What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. The others agreed, so they pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him for 20 shekels of silver. Second, the brothers took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in its blood. They brought it to their father and said, We found this. Examine it to see if it is your son's robe. Jacob recognized it immediately. It is my son's robe, he cried. A ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces. Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. Meanwhile, the Ishmaelites took Joseph to Egypt, where they sold him to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard.